Greetings, everybody. Well, I hope Plato was not too hard on everybody, because now we're moving to Plato's apprentice, Aristotle. As we know from our last lectures, that Plato was the student of Socrates, and therefore Aristotle is the student of Plato. You should be able to pick up by now that in philosophy, one must be an apprentice before one can become a master. And we will see how in just this tiny lecture, how Aristotle does take a lot of what Plato said, but then puts his own twist on it. The topic of this video lecture is how to obtain the good. All right? How to obtain that which is the ultimate goal of all human civilizations. And in order to do this, we are going to have to look at the process that one must undertake before one can become one with the good. Okay? So let's look at that. The good, as cited by Aristotle, is when a person's function is performed with excellence. All right? Now, what are these functions, so to speak? It talks a little bit about it in the notes that I had written up for you, but let's think about this. Quickly, a function is any purpose that any given organism, any given piece of inanimate object, whether it be a rock, or the given purpose of us as human beings, our given purpose is our function. For example, the function of the heart is to pump blood. Its pumping of blood is its function. Likewise, humans, our functions are many, but we are the accumulation of many different various functions. For example, our bladder has the function to let us use a restroom. Our stomach has the function to digest food. Likewise, the eyes see, the heart pump blood, etc. Right? Those are its functions. But Aristotle said, okay, well, we know what the functions are, but what is it to be a human being? Well, he looked at human being, and then he looked at lower classes of animals, realizing that all of us are animals, even us. We had to separate it. And so obviously he broke it down to species. Each species has a function. Well, if we compare ourselves to, let's say, our distant relative, the chimpanzee, or the bonobo monkey, whatever you want to say, the function of those species is pretty basic. They eat, have sex, procreate, to make more, and in certain chimp and bonobo-like cultures, they even have a type of political infrastructure, believe it or not. And guess who's in charge? It ain't the men. So guess who? Alright. But nonetheless, they have a specific function. When you look at human beings, what are our functions? Well, we already touched on that a little bit. So if we look at the monkey or the chimp, whatever you want to say, has similar functions to us. The monkey can do almost exactly everything that we can. So Aristotle said there must be some primary difference. And the difference that he discovered was that humans have the capacity and function of reason. Our minds are capable of reason, and so that is its function. And therefore, that's what separates us from the lower class animals. But how is this related to the good? Well, besides anatomy and basic function, human beings have what he called virtues. All right. Now, virtues are not typical of what you hear when you think of virtue. Like when you see someone is virtuous, you think of a knight in shining armor or someone who is doing good works. That's not what Aristotle means by virtue. Virtue, according to Aristotle, are behavioral traits that we are genetically or predisposed to be excellent at. Remember at the beginning, what is good is a function performed with excellence. Now, virtues could be stuff like bravery, stealthiness, sneakiness, manipulation. If you are a thief, your virtue is the fact that you can be deceptive, that you have stealth on your side. The virtue of a soldier is that of bravery, not foolhardiness, but bravery. The function of, or the virtues that you could say um, of a politician is that he's very good, or she is very good at communication. These are our virtues. Virtues do not necessarily, in this case, say that something is intrinsically good, that is, good by itself, or that something's intrinsically bad or evil. That's not what he's saying. The first thing is your virtue. You have to say, what is it that I do well, better than most people? Whatever that is, that's your virtue. But remember, how to obtain the highest good is a process. And the process with human beings start off with identifying what our virtues are. Right? But it's not enough to know what your virtues are. You have to do the next term we need to know, actualization. To actualize your virtues. That is, to make your virtues practical, to not only talk the talk, but be able to walk the walk, so to speak. You have to actualize your virtue. So, for example, let's go back to the thief. If you're a thief, your virtue is obviously sneakiness, stealthiness, and deception. Those are your virtues. How do you actualize those virtues? You actualize those virtues through what he calls, the next term we need to know, external goods. Now, before I continue, I'm going to put up a new video to give myself some more time. The thing about YouTube, they don't let you put bloody 2 or 10-minute videos. So, part 2 will come next.